It's time for a pre-show for college football. And that means that it's time to have some fun with two teams, like this team from Manhattan, Kansas. Or yes, if you feel like it, my team, my college football team, the greatest football team to ever play football, in my opinion, these guys of Oklahoma. Alrighty then. All right, let's do this thing. The pre-show for the Oklahoma Sooners and the Kansas State Wildcats. This year, unlike last year, Oklahoma is favored in this game. It's a home game for the Sooners, where Oklahoma is set to win the game by 13.5 to 14 points, 2 touchdowns. That's kind of that's a bit far fetched for me. I think more like 7 points, 3 points would have been it. But you know what? If they want it to be 14 and it ends up being 14, I will be happy. As far as the channel that you're going to have to watch the game on, it's on national television this time. For the people that have Fox Sports Oklahoma and all that, you don't have to worry about it. It's on Big Fox. In Oklahoma City here, that's Fox 25. If you're out in Tulsa, that's Fox 23. If not, you'll have to check your local Fox affiliates as far as to where you can find the game. When you find the game, the people that you will hear on the play calls will be Gus Johnson, who used to be with CBS Sports and now is covering Fox Sports. He covered them on FX last year. As we said, now he's on Big Fox. Helping him as the color analyst for this game will be Charles Davis, and the sideliner will be Julie Alexandra. The pre-show to this game, the Fox pre-show on the NFL Fox pre-show that has Aaron Andrews, Joey Harrington, and from the Ohio State University, Eddie George on as their crew. So that's a pretty good show in its own right, if you just count Aaron Andrews, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. Last year in this set, Oklahoma just took it to Kansas State in this series. 58-17 win in the Purple Apple of Manhattan. The Little Apple. Ugh, man, did they get pumped. Bob Stoops has a record of 8-1 in this series, while Bill Snyder has a record of 6-11. As we all know, the reason why Bob Stoops is 8-1 in this record and not 9-1, 10-1, 11-1, 12-1, and all these 1, and all the games not being played is they did not play Kansas State every year. But one year they ended up playing them twice, so that counts for something. The best game in this series, rivalry, whatever you want to call it, there's no doubt in my mind. That game was played in 2001, a game after the weekend of 9/11. It was an awesome game between Oklahoma and Kansas State. Came down to a 1-point win for Oklahoma. And, 6 of those points ended up being pretty cool. And, well, basically here they are. Here's 6 of them right here.
Look at this. Look at this. They're stacked. Give it pass. Yes, it is. They throw it on back. Touchdown, Oklahoma! As they throw it back to Hunter Wool, a redshirt freshman quarterback. So they send Hunter Wool into the game. They come up with a trick play on the throwback from Antoine Savage. How about that one?
So, in that game, in that version of the series, you would have thought that Bill Snyder would have thought, hey, there's something weird here when all 3 guys are in a fake punt and there are 3 flankers to the right side. You didn't think much of it. You thought it was a regular punt. Oklahoma read it perfectly. It ended up being a fake punt. They got the pass off to Antoine Savage there on the left sideline, or on the right side, I should say. And then basically there was a wall there, and he was waiting on it. So what did Savage do? Well, he went back to his quarterback days, flicked it back to Hunter Wall, a redshirt freshman, touchdown Oklahoma. And what a lot of people don't realize is that was a third-string quarterback that was. Because he really was. Because you had, as the starter / second-string quarterback, Nate Hibble and Jason White flanking back and forth, butting heads for that game for that season as starting quarterback. Last time out for the 2 teams, Kansas State ended up sloppily beating the University of North Texas Mean Green, formerly of North Texas State, 35-21. They actually had a 14-7 lead at halftime. UNC came back and almost tied the ball game. Had a 14-13 lead. After that, they decided, hey, maybe we should actually start playing some football. And ended up scoring the last few points of that matchup. As we said, though, North Texas did end up scoring an extra touchdown and a 2-point conversion to make the 35-21 loss not look as bad. As far as Oklahoma, as far as the win looking good and a loss looking bad, well, Oklahoma made it look so good, and Florida A&M made it look real bad. 69-13 last time out was the home opener for the Sooners. And this season for the Sooners. As far as this series is concerned, as of today, Kansas State's biggest win over Bob Stoops. Well, how about his only win over Bob Stoops? 2003, Kansas State upsets the University of Oklahoma 35-7 in Kansas City for the Big 12 Conference Championship. Oklahoma did end up playing LSU in the national title that year. And, well, basically you didn't get a ring or nothing for doing what you did in the Big 12 that year. But it did end up helping you get probably the best freshman running back to ever play at the University of Oklahoma in Adrian Peterson. So, there you go. As far as Bob Stoops is concerned, the biggest Stoops win against Snyder, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it like this. It was the 2000 win, 24-27, in Kansas City, after Oklahoma beat them in Manhattan, 41-31. So after beating them one game in Kansas City, or in Manhattan, they come back basically into Manhattan and win by a field goal, earning them a trip to and winning the national championship of 2000. This is supposed to be fun too. So how about this? King me, baby! Barry Switzer of Oklahoma fame from 73 to 88, and Dallas Cowboy fame from 94 to 1997. Well, he says that Bob Stoops was a great coach and a super decision to be the next head coach at OU once the 98 season was over. As far as Bill Snyder's concerned, well, if you're ready for this one, the King said this. The OU King, Barry Switzer, said this. said that Bill Snyder was the coach of the decade in the 80s and in the 90s. I don't think you could have made a better decision as far as that's concerned. Good choice, King. I like this guy. Also means it's about time for him to retire if he was the coach of the year in the 80s and the 90s, and we're already in 2015. It's been 25 years. That's all we're going to say on that. Also, going back to Barry Switzer here a minute, his famous book, The Bootlegger's Boy, will be made into a movie. That was released into the Oklahoma City press recently. It will be produced by the same producer that produced The Blind Side. If you're looking for people to play Barry Switzer, I think that you should hire the guy that does, there was only one Oklahoma video this year, at least for the football program, and at least for the first 2 or 3 weeks, Ed Harris. I think that that would be an awesome, awesome decision as far as that's concerned. As far as conference and divisional titles, Kansas State has a record of 1-2 as those conference and division titles are concerned. 1-2 in conference championship games and 3 divisional titles. Oklahoma, of course, 7-1 and 8 divisional titles. Kansas State, of course, 1-2. That one win coming in that 2003 victory over Oklahoma in Kansas City. As far as Oklahoma is concerned in Big 12 championship games, they are 7-1. I'll say this again, 7-1. All right? They beat Kansas State once. They had 2 games against Colorado in 2002 and 2004. They had a couple of games against Nebraska 2006 and 2010. And they had back-to-back years, 2007 and 2008, when they met up against the University of Missouri Tigers. BCS Bowl records for Kansas State and Oklahoma under Bill Snyder and Bob Stoops, respectively. As far as all-time bowls, he is 6-7 in 20 years and 2 stints. His biggest BCS win was a 35-18 win in the Fiesta Bowl when they beat Syracuse, I do believe, who ended up being the champion of the division that year. Their worst ended up being a heartbreaking 35-28 loss to The Ohio State University that year against Kansas State in the Fiesta Bowl. As far as Bob Stoops is concerned, 6-7 in 13 years under Bob Stoops in bowl games. His biggest one came in 2000 when he won the national championship. There was no greater feat than what happened then. As far as the worst, you can go back to West Virginia. You can go back to Boise State. I think that the worst, in my opinion, was the 55-21 loss to USC in the 2005 national championship game. That was pretty bad. Wow. That was hard to watch. Even the halftime show was hard to watch with Ashley Simpson performing at halftime. That was harder. I don't know what was harder to watch. Ashley Simpson actually performing or knowing that Oklahoma was about to lose the national title game. You know, in these games where it's like this and it's always close except for those 2 games, the one last year in that 2003 matchup with Kansas State, you have to have specialists, special teamers that can change field positions for you. Well, for Kansas State, of course, everybody knows who that is. Tyler Lockett of Tulsa fame. Yes, he is a Lockett. Son and uncle of Kevin Lockett and those guys. So there you go, that family. As far as OU is concerned, I'm pretty sure you know who it is by now. If you don't, just go back and look up Justin Brown, Houston punt return, and you'll see how special this guy is. He had a chance at 2 of them last weekend against Florida A&M. That's Justin Brown. He could be the specialist of the week as far as that's concerned. Finally, as far as injuries are concerned, it looks like everybody's jamming. Everybody's ready to rock and roll. On Monday, which was yesterday, safety number 1, Tony Jefferson for the Sooners, did practice, according to Bob Stoops. And as far as Kansas State's concerned, Arthur Brown, the linebacker, number 4, is probable for the Saturday game against Oklahoma with an ankle injury. In my opinion, if you say a player is probable, it means he's probably going to play. So there's the OU Kansas State preview show. Stay tuned. I'll have a post-game show on later. I'll have tons more stuff on. I love you guys for watching, and as always, Boomer Sooner!